All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Since you too is Pastor Dow. Marriage. A lot of people seek my advice for marriage. They really, truly do, and they ask a lot of questions and stuff. So I thought I'd come on here this morning and make a video and give younger generations and younger people advice that people my age. I don't know what's going on with people my age. If you've had all these experiences in life, I don't understand why people withhold information from the younger generations. It just don't make any sense, because after all, if you are older, let's just say if you're older than I am, should you not have some form of wisdom in you besides foolishness? Shouldn't you have something to offer? Because we all know that families are challenged today because the majority of adults in this life have been selfish. They have lived for themselves, and it's been all about them, and they really truly do not care about the generations coming behind them, because they did. I'll show you one thing they would have done. They would have investigated, studied. They would have poured and been an example. See, that's the biggest part today, is that we have very few people who are actually living examples. The Bible says, blessed not the hearers, but the doers. Today, there's not a shortage of people who want to talk to you. There's not a shortage of people who want to tell you what you ought to do, present you information. But their attitude, when you watch them, they are not doers. They are not doers at all. They have this attitude. They believe they can present the information to you, and then you do it, and then they get the benefit off the information that they're giving you. And it's just a sad situation. And that's why it's important to understand what the Bible says when you have this acid test. So let me go on to marriage. Number one, after being on this earth and living almost half a century, I think when you look at just the mere fact of my lifestyle and stuff, that I can actually provide wisdom going forward to the younger generations. Because see, number one, younger generations, you don't understand that marriage is a very big commitment, probably one of the greatest commitments that you can ever make in your life. Now, sure, you think you know the person that you're marrying, because in the beginning, all you're doing is you're in this courting thing, and you're wooing each other, and basically what you're doing, you're lying to each other. You're lying to each other, and you're falsifying information. Because later on, after the thrill is gone and you settle in for life and the new is wore off, you're going to really truly start to see the real true person after about 5 years. Because then you're going to be flabbergasted. You're going to be utterly amazed when the person that you thought you were married to, because each other, you're telling each other how much you love each other. And I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying there's a lot that you do not know. That's the reason why I say that if you are associated with me in the ministry in any way, shape, fashion, or form, you'd probably do good if you're considering a husband or a wife to probably run who you're considering by me, because I think that I am a very good judge of character, and I could tell you things about the people who you may, or the person who you may be interested in. And I, at least one thing I could do, I could put these things out here in front of you so you can address these issues before you make a mistake and get into something that later on could be a very abusive situation. You could end up marrying a lazy sluggard. Because remember, a new broom always sweeps well. I see that all the time. I see it all. If I've seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times. And people, when they are in relationships, they're not going to present to you and tell you all the things that they have shortcomings, because they refuse to look at them themselves. But I'm a very good judge of character, and you may want to run it past me. Now, look at this. You do not have to run anything past me whatsoever. No, you don't. You don't have to. But I do want to say this. When you go out there, you fall on your face, you find out you've been deceived and lied to, you didn't come to me in the very beginning and seeking information and knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And I would say, don't come to me later on either, because you didn't ask me when you got into it. There's safety in a multitude of counselors. I have literally marriages that I'm dealing with that is literally just flat out failed simply because one or either both of the parties will not perform their duties and obligations. And of course, many of them are skewed. Most people do not know what their roles are and what they should be. And that's the reason why you'll have wives walking out on husbands, and husbands walking out on wives, and many people not really truly understanding all the ins and outs, because you really truly don't need to peer into other people's lives anyway. You are having a mess with your own life. And if you can't get your own life straight, how in the world are you going to sit up there and offer advice from somebody else's to somebody else's life? But the ideal is to prevent all these things from going on or going forward. And that's the reason why honesty is always the best policy. Because I tell you, we have some jacked up people today. And you know, I've got people in this ministry, husbands and wives, who have never, ever, ever once come to me for counseling sessions. And yet they dissolved their union. Isn't that amazing? And then all of a sudden they want me to jump in and make up the hedge for them. No, I'm not going to jump in and make up the hedge. You've already done destroyed yourselves, because I think it was pride or something, to either ignorance. And a lot of times you get people that they simply don't want to come in front of the preacher right here, because something about them that they are hiding may be discovered, and they don't want that seen. They don't want that seen at all. But you know, I'm a good judge of character, and I can tell you and show you things about the person you may be considering. That's not to say that everybody has to be perfect, because you know you're going to go on to perfection, but there are things you need to be aware of, you need to address before you decide to so-called use the proverbial saying, or tie that knot. Number two, we live in a world where diseases are a serious factor. There are people who have had diseases in their bodies that are lying dormant right now. And you need to be very open and honest. We got people today all across this land that are getting married, and they're not honest with the spouse, the one they're considering married. They're not honest with them about their condition. Can you imagine? Let me just throw this out there. Can you imagine, here you are, you're fond of a man, you're fond of a woman. Can you imagine this? And next thing you know, you go into the boudoir, but you didn't know, and they didn't know. But now, wait a minute. Now, the person knew when they was going into the boudoir that they were in infected goods. But because you're blinded by love, and everything else, you don't see, you get in there, and next thing you know, you contract some type of venereal disease. Boy, would that not be a hard hit? Would that not be a hard hit? You're marrying this person, and you're expecting them to be honest with you. And the reason why they didn't tell you about their venereal disease, either past or present, is because they had a fear, strange isn't it, of losing you. Next thing you know, you got blisters on your penis or vagina. You're breaking out all over the place, and you go to your spouse, and then they put on the crying show. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't want to lose you. But now you're infected with some form of venereal disease that you're going to be straddled with for the rest of your life. Now you have to ask yourself a question. Did that person really truly love you? That's grounds in itself to dissolve that union, to actually get rid of that marriage. That's a sad set. But this is the type of generation we're living in. See, these tough questions need to be asked. Yes, they do too. They really, truly, and you need to have open talks about this. Because the last thing you want to do is go off into a situation and find yourself infected. Let's deal with something else. Today we have an epidemic of men who are basically pieces of shit. As the old saying go, dogs. And what they do is they go out here and lay with women. They make all these babies, but they're not responsible for the children's upbringing. They have no financial obligation to them. They do not provide for them. They do not give them food and shelter. They starve them and all kind of other stuff. Abandonment, neglect, abuse. We can go on all different facets and stuff. Because it's always going to be children with it. But hey, before you go off into, think about this. You're going to deal with, ultimately, women who have what they call baggage or package care, children. And if you have a woman out there that's got 4 children, and you're considering marrying her, you need to understand what you're getting ready to get into. Because not only are you married, or not only will you be married to that woman, but now you have to be a father to these children. And if they haven't had any values in them, chances are they're going to despise you. They're not going to sit up and take any correction from you because they hadn't been trained right by that woman. Or either when you marry that woman, you also married the state because some type of obligation of child support is there, or visitation rights from 1, 2, or 3, or the fourth father. Wow, my camera just froze on me. I must be telling the truth here. Wow, that was something. Anyway, let me go ahead on. It just froze on me for no reason. But anyway, if you're going to be married to a woman who has 3, 4, or 5 children, you need to, first of all, number one, make sure that you are a man of honor and integrity, know what you're getting into, because it's a very stressful situation when the man that has a baby by this woman, or if there's 2 men that has had babies by this woman, well, right, you ultimately going to have to deal with that situation. I'm telling you, and at times that can be very unhealthy, and that could put you in a position where you're going to be challenged because, you're going to have to deal with restrictions. You're not going to be able to be as free that you think you are. If you have a woman that has 2 or 3 children, 4 or 5 children, 6 children, sometimes 7 children, and you're considering on taking home this woman because you're blinded by the love because you don't understand the duty and obligation that's coming behind that. And there's a lot of people out there that are just ignorant. Are you prepared to deal with these ignorant ex-spouses? I don't know. Maybe you can handle it, maybe not. I don't know, but it's a very stressful situation. How about when you and the family plan a vacation or something, like you're going somewhere, but yet and still you have to plan everything around the man who has a child by her in a previous relation, or 2 men that have a child. See, your life is greatly being altered and changed. And you need to know these things before you even consider going in there, because most people, they're not going to tell you all these things. They're simply, Pastor Dow, I'm going to peer greatly into it, and I'm going to challenge every aspect of your life and her life if you choose to come and receive counseling by me, because the only thing I want to do is make sure that when you go forth in life that you understand what you're getting ready to get into, what you're making agreement to, so that you can have a healthy life and a healthy lifestyle going forward. But you do need to know. And I think that some of the things that I've discussed here thus far is very important. And of course, last but not least, and this is not a comprehensive list by any stretch of imagination, you need to know what these people believe. You truly do. Because some people, for instance, if they don't have a history, listen to me, a serious history of being a real, true, bona fide Israelite. I ain't talking about they in the faith 1 minute, out of the faith the next minute, because the truth is, if they cannot love Yah, the truth is they cannot love you. They can't do it. And the reason why they can't love Yah is because they do not love themselves. And if they do not love themselves, they cannot and they will not love you. So don't let the little head think for the big head. Or don't let you women, your feelings and emotions, and get all aroused up because you're looking at this beautiful man that could have, means to be able to take care of you, but you don't know nothing about his spirituality at all. Because if there's anything that really separates family greater than anything, it's amazing because a wife could go out and commit adultery 2-3 times. And you could deal with that pain for a while. A husband could go out and commit adultery 2-3 times. And I'm not saying, matter of fact, I still think you ought to be stoned half the damn death. That's what I'm thinking. And we'll put away the evil from Israel. But we live in an evil and an adulterous generation. And I tell you one thing, but as soon as someone, you say you believe this way, and this person believes this way, and you come crossroads when it comes to what the term we've been used to, religion, you finish. You're done for. Because that separates more people than anything in this world. Because, see, being an Israelite, you're going to be told what to do by the Father. Matter of fact, you have a book called the Scriptures, the Bible, that is laid out with rules and guidelines. It tells you exactly what your role is, and it tells you what you should do and how you should do it. And anytime you renege on those duties and those obligations and stuff, you're subject to be judged. And most people are not willing to come to judgment. That's the reason why they don't come in front of me or the elders, because they don't want to be judged as being wrong. And then you watch things dissolve. So, I'm trying to do what I can to make sure that your life is more peaceful. But there's some people that there's a lot of things that you really truly need to know a lot about. Especially, you don't want to get married to a man that does not have a history of responsibility showing that he can take care of himself and a home. Why would you want to get married to some lazy ass man that will not provide? It just from the scripture viewpoint, women, you can bellyache all you want, but if the man is providing for you food, clothing, and conjugal rights, you can bitch, moan, growl, gripe, and complain all you want, but he's doing exactly what the Bible says. And he's providing a shelter, home, all that. He's doing what he's supposed to. Now, as far as getting all this dang romance and all this old other junk and everything else that you think is love, because your feelings are aroused because you've been raised in this abstract society right here, you're greatly deceived. Does he do what the Bible says? And do you do what the Bible says by submitting yourself? Or are you too busy trying to make sure that you add strength to the feminist movement by tearing down a man? There are marriages that I know of today where the wife sleeps in one room and the husband sleeps in the next room because they can't stand each other. Or the wife wants sex, but the man, he don't want to have no sex for one reason. Now, I'm telling you, if a man don't want to have sex, there's a screw loose. There's something wrong going up here. I understand that when you're young, you're on fire, and when you get old and stuff, you kind of change a little bit. But I tell you what, boy, man, you got to start. You need to start questioning if some of your so-called husbands do not have aspirations for the other gender when they will not have relations with you. I'm telling you, something's wrong. Something is seriously wrong. I've learned over the years that the only thing that's going to correct a woman's behavior, especially when she has a bad attitude, when you're despising your husband, if there's a threat of another woman who is interested. Now, it's utterly remarkable to watch that. It's utterly remarkable. Here you are, you scream, you holler, you fuss, and you call him all kind of names, and he's dead, and you can't stand him, and all this other stuff. And if another woman gets interested in him, then all of a sudden, you want to do everything you can to eliminate the threat, but you don't want to correct your behavior. And I can go on all day long about stuff like this. I can literally go on for hours. But I am trying to save many of you from a lot of heartache, a lot of trouble in the future, which the majority of people in my generation and those 20 years in front of me, they ain't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about you. And how in the world you going to get somebody in my generation that the only thing their mind is consumed with is sex or some type of relation? What kind of wisdom are they going to give you? Can they give you what I just said? Can people in my generation offer you the information that I just gave you? And then somebody behind you can't, because you haven't experienced this. That's the reason why experience should be greatly looked at. I'm telling you. And if you get somebody like me that is willing to share with you, especially being a pastor and dealing with hundreds, thousands of people, situations, circumstances, I think that I know just a little bit of something that you may not know. Like I said, you ain't got too many people in my generation you can trust. They all are jacked up. They all jacked because their life was jacked up. And most people, when they give you advice, they're going to give you advice based on their past wicked experiences, their past hurts and pains. They're not going to give you advice that is going to give you wisdom, knowledge, and going forth to help advance you and make you a better woman or a better man, a better husband or a better wife, because most of them speak from the pain and they can't divest themselves of it because it's too painful. And they don't have any joy in their life, and they don't want you to have any. None whatsoever at all. They're all jacked up. And then you need to also consider when you marry a husband or wife, sure, yeah, you marry them, but you're also going to have influences of that family. So Pastor Dow can tell you what to look for, what you need to understand, and to get you serious so that you don't have these blinders on in front of you. And if you choose to go forth with this from that point after I've given you everything in front of you, I put all the information, I put a lot of information out in front of you, that's your prerogative. Have fun. Go ahead and live life. And I hope that you have peace and that you grow together in grace and in knowledge. But I tell you what, there ain't too many preachers that are willing to give you the advice that I am, and that's the truth. And that's the true straight way. And a lot of people in this generation, they can't give you the advice because they simply don't have any wisdom. And you really be making a damn mistake to go out here to some of these people who got a piece of paper on their wall and a degree that says marriage counseling. Yes, they don't have any experience. And next thing you know, you sitting in their office and they've been married and divorced 5 times, but yet they're going to tell you how to be married. Like hell. Or either they just graduated school, but they're going to give you the philosophy of marriage. No. This wicked European model is failing big time. The wheels are coming off at the cart.